Part 78. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 776. God will never let down those who are diligent, hard-working, and motivated. After more than 2 months, Taoran's various martial arts skills have improved significantly, and he has basically returned to the state of flying over walls and climbing over walls. This gave her great convenience, allowing her to travel through most areas of the city with ease. There are more and more zombies in the city. Many roads are crowded with zombies and cannot be used by cars. At first, Taoran thought it was because more and more people were unable to survive, but she soon discovered that it was more than that. To be precise, their living space is being compressed. The source lies with the people in the hospital. Those people are expanding their living space step by step. The scope of their activities is no longer limited to the East City. Their people are often seen in the city, and they have also been to the west of the city many times. And their living area extends beyond Dongcheng Hospital to hundreds of meters around it. Their numbers also expanded. But they don't take in everyone, they only need people who bring supplies and take refuge, and they must also have special abilities that they recognize. In short, they want someone who can add to the strength of the team, not anyone who might be a drag. Taoran was quite interested in them. It's a pity that in the eyes of the people in Dongcheng, she is just a waste with no superpowers, and her appearance is not very attractive, so when she met the people in Dongcheng head-on, they only took away half a bottle of water from her. After that, he didn't bother to talk to her and left directly. She trembled and begged for shelter, but those people pushed 2 zombies directly in front of her. Taoran could only observe those people by climbing high and looking into the distance. They defined good living areas and built high walls. Almost all the zombies in East City were driven away by them. This is what leads to the proliferation of zombies in other urban areas. All they care about is supplies. So they continue to expand their territory to maintain their consumption. Those people lived quite freely. Everyone is free to enter and leave the shelter, but they are responsible for their own safety. The team is just a cooperation of interests, and teammates are wary of each other. It is completely different from Taoran's team, which is based on mutual trust, and is a relationship of mutual supervision and collaboration. Soon, Taoran developed a great dislike for those people in Dongcheng. That day, when she was looking for supplies in a residential area in the west of the city, she heard a gunshot from the house behind her. Once she was close, she rushed over to find out. When she arrived, she saw a guy pointing a gun at a man lying on the ground in a pool of blood. Next to the man were her sobbing wife, a pair of trembling twins calling for daddy, and an old man who was pleading and begging to express that they were willing to take out all the supplies. But the man with the gun pointed the gun at the old man again. He stared at the woman with his eyes and asked her to follow him, otherwise he would shoot the old man and the 2 young ones. The woman's pleading only resulted in the man's inexplicable sense of superiority. When the woman refused to obey, he started counting down with the arrogant look on his face. When Taoran arrived, the man's countdown had reached 2. In this world, she had always tried to mind her own business, but she couldn't bear it this time. What she hates the most is trash that attacks the elderly and children. She even hates this kind of scum that loses the bottom line and 3 views of being a human being after the rules and laws disappear, and completely becomes a beast. If you have the ability, go save the world. If you have the ability, point your gun at someone stronger than you. To attack the civilians who are defenseless and weak in every aspect, to put it bluntly, they are still incompetent. So Taoran took action. She showed off her light skills, raised her speed to the highest level, and before the man pulled the trigger, she hit his gun with the stick in her hand. There was a bang sound, the muzzle of the gun tilted, and it hit a flower pot on the window sill. The man was startled and turned around to look. Before he could see anything clearly, he saw a black shadow flash past. Then his throat was stuck, and at the same time, the gun in his hand was kicked out by Chao Ran. The man's hand reached into his waist, and the twins squatting on the ground shouted, "Be careful," in unison. Chao Ran knew he was going to pull out the dagger and used his fingers first. The elbow moved in conjunction with the knee, and the dagger fell to the ground, but the man was not injured. The man laughed. "Can't you kill me?" Chao Ran thought that this man might have superpowers, but he didn't expect that his superpowers were still the same as Uncle Jiang's. His physical body had been strengthened to such an extent that Chao Ran couldn't even pinch him to death. Chao Ran must kill him. Not only to prevent him from retaliating, but also because she revealed her strength and true appearance. In order to prevent future troubles, it is impossible to show mercy this time. "If I can't kill you, your fate will only be worse." No wonder he is so confident and has no scruples to do evil. It turns out that he has no worries, and his skin is so old that even zombies don't want to bite him, right? Chao Ran snorted and smiled contemptuously in his ear. "A scumbag like you would be better off making a human punching bag." So Chao Ran spent all his time on him. It just so happened that she could also try to see if the fist with inner strength would be harmless to him. The man didn't expect that the woman in front of him looked so ordinary, but was so capable. He had learned a few moves in the past few months, but he couldn't show them off at all in front of this woman. He was really like a punching bag, being beaten dizzy and dizzy by the woman's set of punches. No matter how tough his body was, he couldn't withstand such a blow. After only 3 minutes, he felt that his internal organs began to hurt and his whole head began to hurt. He finally began to beg for mercy. He said he was helpless. Their leadership stipulates that everyone must pay a certain amount of supplies every month. After several rounds of raids in Dongcheng, there was no material left to find. They can only look further and further away. He hasn't paid the food this month, and there's nothing he can do. If the supplies delivered by the end of the month are not enough, he will be kicked out of the hospital. "You have no choice but to kill someone? Are you going to take away the woman?" Chao Ran punched out with his inner strength, and this time he finally knocked out 2 of his teeth. "My superpowers are useless. How can I get supplies without killing people? I am not the only one who can enjoy women. Women are also a type of our supplies." "What?" Chao Ran was annoyed again. Our male-female ratio is too imbalanced, so. Chao Ran would never let this guy go, and she would show no mercy. At that time, footsteps suddenly came. The man shouted for help. It turned out that his nearby accomplices were attracted by the previous shot and his howling. A few seconds later, another man with a gun appeared at the other end of the corridor. That person turned out to be a person with superpowers. Or the speed ability. He arrived in front of Chao Ran in a flash. His gun was already pointed at Chao Ran. Chao Ran also blocked the sandbag from before. At this time, suddenly several bang 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 gunshots were heard from the other side. The speedster who pointed his gun at Chao Ran slowly slid to the ground. He was shot 4 times. He looked back and realized that the woman who killed him was the woman whose husband had just died. It turned out that when the woman saw another villain coming, she secretly picked up the gun on the ground. At this time, with trembling hands, she blocked her father and children, and fired another shot at the man who killed her husband. A monthly ticket activity has been launched. Babies with monthly votes can reply to relevant posts in the comment area before voting, and you can exchange some coins to express your feelings. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 777. After all, the sandbag man had special powers. After receiving this shot, he did not fall to the ground immediately. The woman pulled the trigger on him again, but the gun was out of bullets. Chao Ran nodded to the thin woman in front of him, indicating that he would help lock up the sandbag man. She had a deep hatred, so naturally she had to repay it with her own hands. Ran was willing to help her. The woman picked up the dagger on the ground and rushed over. Ran had already beaten the man to internal injuries, and after one more shot, she could clearly feel the man's weakness while dragging him. His superpowers are basically broken. Sure enough, after the woman came up, her first blow to the man's heart penetrated deeply into the flesh, drawing out a bloody string. The second knife and the third knife all hit the man's vitals. The family was ruined, almost became a prisoner, almost killed the father, almost made the child an orphan. This kind of hatred is not the slightest bit. The woman poked her dozens of times before she collapsed and sat on the ground. Although the enemy was killed, those who left could not come back. The woman hugged her husband and cried bitterly. The sandbag man was dead, and Ran threw him away. She wiped the blood from her hands on the wall and couldn't help but look at the sky with hatred. Is this world really blind? What kind of garbage is given to superpowers? If the end of the world is a purge of the population, then the people that heaven wants to keep are the kind of people who have no lower limit, right? I feel bad when I think about it. Shenrong works so hard, but he still doesn't have any superpowers. What the woman in front of me almost experienced just now is so similar to Shenrong. Ran reached out to help her. Hurry and pack up and get out of here. I don't know if there are any of their accomplices nearby. The 5 shots fired just now made a lot of noise. If they come, it will be troublesome. It was precisely because he was afraid of causing trouble that Ran never used a gun. But unexpectedly, the woman sitting on the ground suddenly held her head, then fell to the ground and twitched, falling unconscious. The twins were very sensible. When Ran shushed them, they stepped back and sobbed softly to make room for Ran to check. Ran stepped forward and touched the woman's forehead. She was running a high fever. He was not sure whether she was frightened, overly grieved, or awakening her powers. And the next second, the grandfather and the twins were kneeling in front of Ran. I know that in this world, people like us are a drag. The grandfather burst into tears. He looked at Ran's clean clothes and guessed that she was doing well. I also saw that she was willing to act bravely for justice, which is a quality that is almost extinct in the world today. This person is probably worth trusting. I'm old, and living is a waste of food. My daughter can't leave like this. But please, girl, take these twins away from me. Children are innocent and the hope of this world, please. I can give you all the supplies I have to feed them. The girl is so kind and kind. The twins started crying again, and the old man knocked his head down. He knew very well that staying in this family would lead to death. And after killing 2 superpowers, they had no chance of survival. The only feasible option is to follow the extraordinary skill girl in front of him. But how could this girl take away their old, weak, women and children? It would be better for him to stay with his daughter and let the children escape. Ran quickly put his hand under the grandfather's forehead. You want me to take care of your grandchildren? Don't even think about it, Ran snorted. Take care of your own baby. Either all 4 of you come with me, or you wait here to die together. Ran has always been extra protective of the elderly and children. The same goes for Shenrong. The backbone of this family is dead. Without help, it will be difficult for the remaining people to survive. Since I took the initiative to get involved, I will help others to the end. Besides, the old man, the child, and the woman looked pretty good. Girl. Tears suddenly covered the old man's face. Why don't you hurry up and pack your things when you have such nonsense? Ran motioned to the 2 children to help the old man up. My car is 100 meters away, hurry up and pack it up. I'm here to look out for the wind, so hurry up. You don't need to bring any clothes. Just pack up the medicine and supplies. The old man nodded quickly, took the children and went into the house to load things. This family is not immune to concern. They have a whole cabinet of rice and noodles at home, and they even stocked several boxes of snacks. Chaoran couldn't stand the scene of the old man and the child carrying rice, so he finally took care of everything. After carrying the dizzy woman into the car, she simply locked the old man and the children in the car, and then started doing hard labor willingly. It took her 5 trips in total to stuff all the good food and supplies into the car. Seeing that the 3 people in the car were crying, Chaoran sighed again and went back to put the recently deceased father into a large suitcase and also carried him into the car. There is a special cemetery where I live. Many people in the community have had relatives pass away in the past few months, so they chopped up a piece of land specifically to bury their deceased relatives. You can bury him then. It's also a good way to remember him and have a place to worship. The old man bowed and said that the children would definitely repay her kindness in the future. From that day on, Chaoran developed an extreme dislike for those people in Dongcheng, and the 4 people she brought back became new members of the community. In fact, they are not the first batch of new residents in the community. These days, the community has admitted more than 30 new people. A small number of them are relatives and friends of community residents who know the ins and outs of the community, but most of them are poor people who are isolated and helpless, have hope for the world, are working hard, but cannot survive. After coming to the community, someone will secretly observe them to confirm that they really treat everyone as family and have no alienation or bad intentions, so they will be kept. There is no way, for the benefit of most people, everyone is very cautious. Of course, every time new people enter the community, they will be checked by Sweet Sister. The superpower of her magic stick physique is very miraculous. She can feel the good and bad of the people who come to her. Just like when Chaoran met her for the first time, she got close to Chaoran and said that he was shining like gold. When she saw her new friend this time, she nodded again and again. Okay, and it's pretty good, although I don't know what's so good about it. It's good for the team anyway. As long as it's good, Chaoran felt relieved. Within a few days, Chaoran knew what was so good about this good thing. This rescue was a huge gift from God, and Chaoran finally stopped rolling his eyes at God several times every day. The woman named Au whom she rescued had a severe fever for many days. After Fang Fang determined that she was not sick but more likely to have awakened supernatural powers, she gave her excellent rescue and physical cooling. Several times when she had respiratory failure, Chaoran fed her internal energy. For 7 whole days, after experiencing great sorrow, great hatred, and great liberation, Au woke up. And her superpower is the superpower with the lowest success rate that Shenrong even wanted when he lied before, healing. She told Chaoran, although I have no chance to save my husband, you who saved my father and children will be my relatives from now on. I will always be behind you and be your support. Thank you for your monthly votes, Brother Long. My book Friend's Tale number is 46,293, and I will reset the rewards from the Lai Huo of you babies. I love you more than anything. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 778. Another 2 months have passed. Recently, there have been more zombies in the city. The activities of the Dongcheng Hospital gang have expanded. They are increasingly seen elsewhere in the city. Chaoran and the others were in the west of the city, a little far apart, so they basically didn't run into each other's people for the time being. But given the opponent's momentum, it was only a matter of time before they advanced to the west of the city. No one knows how long the virus will continue to rage. In the past few months, all information has been cut off. They don't know what the world outside the city is like, whether the officials and organizations can respond. All they can do is make plans and efforts to make themselves live longer. The people in Dongcheng are expanding rapidly, so before the other side advances here, Taoran and the others go out every day to search for supplies and stock up as much as possible. In addition to food, what they hoard the most is gasoline and car batteries. Going in and out of the car consumes too much fuel. They found cars on the roadside again and again and manually extracted gasoline from the gas tanks in various ways. The tacit cooperation of the team keeps all kinds of materials in the community in sufficient condition. They introduced many vines inside and outside the community. After several months of maintenance, the vines grew densely, effectively preventing outside prying eyes. Taoran tried to look over from the tallest building in the west of the city, and saw patches of wild green. It felt like it had been deserted for too long and would not attract anyone's attention at all. The front and rear iron gates of the community and the locks hanging on them were all rusty and decadent, and it looked like they had not been taken care of for a long time. Inside the iron gate, there were hundreds of zombies as a cover, allowing them to always linger by the door. Occasionally, if a team passes by, they will feel that this community has been abandoned for too long and there are hordes of zombies. They are too lazy to enter the search and skip it, saving them a lot of trouble. Due to the increase in the number of zombies, a large number of zombies have gathered near the construction site where there were originally only a few. Although everyone in the community was given protection, it gradually began to affect their travel. There are too many on the road, blocking the road so tightly that vehicles cannot drive out. As a last resort, after everyone discussed it, they decided to introduce some zombies into the community. It can not only clear the road, but also rely on the sound of zombies for deep cover. The first batch of zombies were introduced by Taoran himself as a demonstration. All the residents avoided and opened the east door, a gap between two people. She maintained her position 2 meters in front of the zombies and brought more than 200 zombies into the underground garage of an 11-story building. There are several underground garages in the community, but they only use the low-rise garages in the middle. So there is plenty of room. After Taoran brought them in, he played hide and seek with them. When Taoran came out from another exit, brainless zombies were still wandering in the garages that looked the same everywhere. Once the iron fence was put up outside the garage door and separated by lightproof wooden boards, the zombies were completely locked inside. They will use this method every once in a while to maintain the east gate as barely passable. On this day, Taoran was called to Grandpa Fang's observation area. It turns out that Grandpa Fang saw something. They came from the south. They were blocked as soon as they entered the west of the city. I thought, there must be a reason why they pulled such a heavy car. Maybe the car is full of supplies. Grandpa Fang pointed to the ground. Taoran held the telescope and saw that a truck was surrounded by hundreds of zombies at an intersection about 800 meters away and was unable to move forward or retreat. Grandpa Fang, I asked you to come here just to see what you mean and whether you want to save me. If the car contains supplies, I should make some money by saving those people. Taoran went to ask Tian Tian, and the little girl said that there was no obvious bad thing happening, so it should be good. So Taoran set off with several cars. Everyone was already very experienced and worked together to go to the accident site with a tacit understanding. Then, a speechless event happened. When they were still 200 meters away from the place, they heard that the surrounded car started shouting through the car's loudspeaker. Does this car that is being surrounded have enough battery? You know, the end of the world has been coming for a long time, and we don't know how long it will be before it ends, so electricity like cars is extremely precious. Although Taoran and the others collected a lot of car batteries, they were only willing to use electricity to make ignitions, and they had long stopped using other electrical functions. Listening again, it was a female voice shouting from the truck. She was asking for help. They said they were trapped and had supplies in their car. If anyone could rescue them, they could give 1/3 of the supplies as thanks. Taoran and the others looked at each other, and no one wanted to speak. They all thought that the person in the truck must be mentally retarded, right? When he was still 300 meters away from the spot, Ran stopped the car and found a treetop to look around with a telescope. Tisk! What a joy! As soon as the lady called out, there were more and more zombies nearby. Not to mention, several cars a few blocks away also came here after hearing the call. If there weren't zombies blocking the road, all these people would have arrived in less than 10 minutes. By then, there might be some commotion. We are the closest. It is best to rescue the car within 15 minutes. After observing the zombies on several nearby roads, Ran planned the route and returned to the car. The rescue begins. Ran got out of the car first, walked all the way from the roof, branches, car roof, and fence, climbed over the eaves and wall to a tall tree near the truck, and shouted "Shut up" at the truck. But the woman in the truck actually said, "Why is there only one person here? Is this still disgusting?" Ran just grinned at his teeth and wondered why this woman couldn't carry it so clearly when he heard an excited male voice coming from the speaker of the other party's car, "Xiao Rong." Ran was stunned. It's Dad. Looking at the driver's seat of the truck, someone was vaguely waving through the zombie heads. Father Shen is back. After being missing for more than 4 months, he is finally back. Ran didn't have time to look at Father Shen's face, to recognize each other, or to express emotion or greetings. He immediately said, "Dad, don't talk to that lady for now. Our people and cars will come to lure away the zombies." Ran was busy hitting each other with 2 iron rods to attract zombies, and when he jumped on the roof of a car, he heard a woman complaining faintly from the truck horn, and "Uncle, your daughter is not like you." The evaluation sound. Ran made a lot of noise at the intersection, attracting some of the zombies in front of the truck into the alley on the opposite side. She fished the zombie forward, and soon the zombie started running after her. There is a lot of looseness in the front of the truck. 2 other cars in the community 200 meters away honked their horns and tied live chickens to the roofs of the cars, attracting many more zombies surrounding the truck. After Ran got rid of the zombies in the alley, he came back to the intersection to attract them again, and the front of the truck finally became loose. It's ready to be opened. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 779. On the way back, Ran was full of questions. She had already seen the truck. There were 3 people in the driver's seat. They are Dad Shen, a strong man, and a young woman. Where are Shen Rong's grandparents? Not rescued. What about the young man who went out with his father? Problem occurs. The most important thing is that woman. Who is she? In Shen Rong's memory, Father Shen was a man of his own opinion and ability, but why did he still seem to be looking at that brainless woman? That woman's behavior was inappropriate. How could he not stop her? And that woman, Ran took a breath, she was really annoying. 5 minutes ago, after basically dealing with the zombies, Ran jumped on the roof of the truck and told them not to shout through the car loudspeaker again. The woman showed disdain. What? Ran choked. She looked the woman up and down. The woman was dressed in white. To be precise, she was wearing a dress that looked like a white coat and a nurse's uniform. She looked out of place in this world. To be honest, after the world changed, Ran almost never saw anyone wearing white outside. Still pure white. And there is not a single trace of mark or dirt on the body. Seeing that the woman seemed to be the leader among the 3 people in the truck, Ran explained a few words. Do you know how dangerous it was just now? When you shouted and heard that there were supplies, many cars nearby were coming. They came for the supplies, and they are scarier than zombies. Rather than taking risks to save you, it would be better to watch you being destroyed. If the zombies capture it, it would be safer and more convenient for them to take away the supplies directly. If they are ferocious enough, they are more likely to kill people and get goods. Giving them 1/3 is actually just the right thing. Okay, the woman interrupted with a smile. Little sister, Human nature is kind, don't judge others with your malice, the woman actually replied. Taoran was choked again. What is she saying? Is she sure? He led someone to rescue her, but she didn't get any points? Her smile was gentle and kind, but there was no concealment of disdain in her eyes. When you reunited with your father, you didn't know how to say hello, but as soon as we met, you came up to teach your elders how to do things. You have such a poor upbringing. I'm sorry, Uncle Shen, I just feel a little unworthy for you. At that time, Taoran was stunned again. She really hadn't met someone so speechless for a long time. What the hell is this? The tea smells like tea. No matter how poorly educated she is, it's not her turn to be judged by an outsider. And, don't look at this when? Dad, the overall situation is more important. Father Shen quickly indicated that he understood. Taoran didn't look at the woman. Your car is following us. Watch your attitude. This is your dad. Don't use a commanding tone, the woman interjected again. Then you're not my mother, so leave me alone, Taoran, I didn't scare you. Several cars are coming. If you don't want to be robbed, hurry up and follow. Dad, I'm in a hurry right now, so I'm doing things that are expedient. Then, without saying a word, she jumped into Qin Guang's car, which came to greet him. But at that time, she also heard the woman say to Father Shen, Uncle, your daughter is not as kind as you said. Taoran is quite unhappy now because of this inexplicable woman. Where does this stupidity come from? But a few minutes later, Qin Guang suddenly slowed down. Sister, your dad's car. The big speechless incident continued, and the truck behind actually stopped at one place. Qin Guang could only drive back. What happened? The truck girl was impatient. Why are you driving in circles? We are tired and want to go back. At that moment, Taoran just wanted to go up and strangle the woman to death. Qin Guang was also annoyed. Sister, do you have any brains? You used the horn so loudly that you provoked a lot of people. They are coming to grab your supplies. How can you get rid of them if you try to disrupt their sight? Is it my fault? I'm not looking for someone to rescue me. The woman started to cry. I'm sorry, Xiaoyi, that's not what I meant. If anything happens, we'll talk about it after we get back. Father Shen lowered his voice and said hello to Qin Guang. Xiao Guang, continue to lead the way. Taoran had already jumped out of Qin Guang's car. After knocking away the two zombies rushing towards the roadside, he opened the truck door and said, Dad, let's change cars. She drives the truck. Taoran ignored the objections of the woman in the truck and got Father Shen out of the driver's seat. Another strong man in the car came over with a glare, but didn't say anything to stop him. Taoran didn't worry about him and got into the car directly. The truck finally started moving. The accelerator was pushed to the limit and the two zombies in front of it were knocked away. The woman in the car almost hit the console and even cursed. However, thanks to Taoran's acceleration, their procrastination has caused trouble, and someone is already chasing them. If Taoran hadn't made a sharp turn, their truck might have been hit. The vehicle coming from behind had already locked onto the truck, and Qin Guang and other vehicles began to block it. The car behind quickly lost its target. Taoran made full use of his familiarity with the terrain, and walked under a shopping mall. After coming out, he even circled the construction site, and finally used the zombies to completely throw the opponent away. It took several cars back and forth for 40 minutes before they all returned to the community. Taoran felt unhappy because of this stupid woman. The first time they met, she was so tormented. She wouldn't want to follow Father Shen in the future, would she? Hey, after exchanging cars with Father Shen, that woman was always acting strangely. Although Taoran ignored her, he listened a lot. If the woman hadn't considered herself Father Shen's savior, Tao Ran would have almost thought that this woman was a rotten love interest whom Father Shen met by chance outside. After returning to the community and getting off the truck, the woman looked around, but she didn't feel happy at all. Tao Ran felt that she was even a little disappointed. Father Shen made the introduction. "This is Yao Weiwei." The woman in white raised her neck with a noble look on her face. He pointed at the strong man again. "This is Tian Hu. I can come back safely this time, thanks to these two people." "Where are the grandparents?" Tao Ran asked someone to call Shen's mother and asked quickly. "They are fine. Xiao Jin, who went out with me, is fine too. Please listen to me and tell me slowly." Father Shen, surrounded by everyone here, was very excited. He was about to tell his story, but was interrupted. It was Yao Weiwei who walked to the truck. "Let's do business first and catch up on old times later." She looked around. "Everyone, I brought you a meeting gift. From now on, we are a family. I hope you will help each other. In the future, if you need anything, you can come to me and I will give you the best help." Tao Ran continued speechless. Yao Weiwei's face, full of expectations, was filled with pride, complacency, and self-motivation. She seems to be waiting for everyone's admiration and gratitude, waiting for everyone to shed tears of gratitude, waiting for everyone to send her to the throne. This face full of mercy and mercy, well, reminded Tao Ran of the Holy Mother. "Thank you all for your monthly votes. Thank you for the rewards from pure heart." Reset Lai Huo Wivu, Xiaoao, Book Friend Tale number 46293, I love you. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 780. Indeed, Yao Weiwei is waiting for everyone to burst into tears with gratitude. Although she was really disappointed as soon as she entered the community. She heard that there were more than 170 people in this community. Considering that these people have been besieged for more than half a year, and they have suffered so many hardships and died, the survivors must all be pitiful and miserable. So she came with great compassion. Along the way, she was thinking about what kind of efforts she would use to save these poor people, how to lend a helping hand, and give them the greatest help. When she heard Dad Shen say that most of the people in the community were old, weak, women and children, she even wiped her tears several times. In her imagination, what she would see after entering the community would be helpless children crying and crying about hunger, sick old people crying out in pain on the ground, men looking for supplies returning empty-handed every day, and women cooking at home taking all that was given was thin and insatiable porridge. Everyone in the community was emaciated, and everyone was crying out for food. The environment of the community is even more dirty, smelly, messy, decayed and unsightly. To this end, she is ready to endure hardship and dedication. But, she wasn't happy when Shen Rong appeared. Because Shen Rong broke her imagination. That girl looks chubby, how can she lose weight in this world? Judging from how rude and domineering she is, she must have taken away a lot of food from others every day. That girl was actually wearing clean clothes to kill zombies. She looked very ignorant at first glance. When entering the community and looking at the group of smiling people, Yao Weiwei almost felt dazzled. What? Is the environment so good? Green trees, chirping birds, and fragrant flowers? Is everyone clean and in good spirits? The old people are fishing by the lake and playing chess in the pavilion? The children are studying under the shade of greenery. Are they cute and cute? This first impression is great. In a daze, Yao Weiwei thought she was back before the end of the world. But she was not happy at all. How could they live so well without her helping? So what's the point of her helping? This is wrong. Yao Weiwei didn't believe it. Are these people pretending? In front of outsiders, they are embarrassed to show their poverty, right? How could this place be better than his official base camp? Yao Weiwei quickly prepared herself mentally. They are poor people, and she is here to help and save them. She wants to keep smiling and bring love and beauty to the world. Yao Weiwei glanced around, then knelt down in front of a little boy and handed him a piece of candy. Help me find your leader. The little boy shook his head and left. Is this, not interested in sugar? Yao Weiwei's face trembled, and she was about to switch to another child to give to, but then she realized that none of the children drooled over the candy in her hand. However, the children all looked at Shen Rong. Yao Weiwei was even more disgusted. No way. Could it be that the leader here is Shen Rong? Just her? That ugly girl who doesn't know the heights of heaven and earth, and has no manners or quality. Tao Ran stepped forward and said bluntly, we have no leaders here. Everyone is equal, and everyone has the right to speak and autonomy. If you have anything to say, you can just say it. Although Yao Weiwei's smile did not change, she sneered slightly. Obviously she didn't believe it. Then call everyone in the community. Her tone was obviously class stratified and somewhat commanding. Everyone gathered around. Who is this person? Even if an outsider saves Father Shen, what right does he have to shout around others like this? Tao Ran also laughed. Excuse me, what's the big deal? Do you need all of us to work? This time it was Yao Weiwei's turn to choke. I want to get to know everyone. She had brought so much supplies, so naturally she had to unload them in front of everyone. It's not that she's vain, nor is she trying to get everyone to thank her. The main thing is to let everyone know that because of her joining, civilians like them won't have to go hungry for a while. The matter of supplies is a big deal, and if everyone comes to watch, it can better prevent others from being greedy. Thinking of this, Yao Weiwei's eyes glanced at Tao Ran. Moreover, this is his first appearance. As a new family member, she naturally had to introduce herself well, and from then on she became the brightest, most outstanding, and most contributing member of the family, letting everyone know her importance. She is still waiting for everyone's expressions after seeing the supplies. Tao Ran, most people are busy. If you just want to get acquainted, you can wait 2 hours for dinner. That time is more suitable. Tao Ran didn't want to tolerate her bad habits. Moreover, it is not that he deliberately made things difficult, and it is indeed the case. The uncles and uncles are busy farming, the aunts are preparing meals, and the brothers are still practicing martial arts in the underground garage. Everyone has something to do. Does she want everyone to come? The patrol team has its responsibilities, so it's even more impossible. If you are not their leader, why should you help everyone decide? I told you, I have gifts for everyone. Yao Weiwei called Dad Shen. Your daughter seems to have a problem with me. On the other side, Shen's father and Shen's mother reunited after a long absence and were talking. When they were shouted at, they realized that the atmosphere here was wrong. Father Shen winked at Tao Ran, who shrugged and left directly, planning to find Tian Tian. And who of you doesn't protect your shortcomings? Who doesn't side with Shen Rong unconditionally? They didn't like this strange woman's attitude towards Shen Rong. Now when they saw Shen Rong leaving, many of them turned their heads and did whatever they should do. The crowd that gathered suddenly dispersed. Yao Weiwei was angry. How come these people don't know how to commend themselves? I came here to deliver supplies to them. Come here. Unload the goods, she ordered. The only people she can impress are Father Shen and that Tian Hu. Father Shen quickly smoothed things over and asked everyone to stay put and help them unload the truck. Yao Weiwei slightly raised her chin again. The door of the truck compartment opens, and bags of grain are transported down. These grains are gifts brought to you by me on behalf of the base, she said proudly. Base? What is the base? Everyone gathered out of curiosity and looked at the grain pile. The base knows that it is not easy for everyone to persevere, so this time they specially approved food for everyone's emergency. I brought 600 kilograms of food here. But Yao Weiwei didn't see any surprise in the eyes of anyone present. On the contrary, everyone was in a lack of interest. Of course she didn't know that the food stored in the entire community was enough for everyone to eat for at least 2 more years. The number of 600 kilograms may be a big number in the outside world, but here, well, let's put it this way, the last time Au and his family of 4 came to seek refuge, they brought almost this amount of food. 600 kilograms is only enough to feed the entire community for half a month. It's not that everyone dislikes it, but that this woman is too exaggerated. Therefore, Yao Weiwei, who was waiting to be sent to the altar, only received a few sparse thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 781. This scene was obviously not what Yao Weiwei was waiting for. It shouldn't be like this. At this moment, shouldn't she be surrounded by everyone and accept everyone's praise? Are the people here too reserved? She was dissatisfied for a moment, and while standing on the stool to direct the unloading, she smiled and said, "On behalf of the base, I would like to say thank you for your hard work. Everyone must firmly believe that difficulties will one day be overcome, and dawn and hope are not far away. And I am the one who brings hope." Ignoring everyone's expressions of looking at her like a fool, she added, "I have superpowers, and they are the rarest among superpowers." According to the original plan, she wanted everyone to guess her specific powers. But no one was interested. She heard that what everyone was more interested in was the base. Why don't you follow her tune? I don't understand her, is she the one who represents the base? I have healing powers. These words only silenced the audience for a second, and then everyone stopped looking at her. The words "playing the piano to a cow" suddenly popped into Yao Weiwei's mind. Uncle Shen was saved by my superpower. When these words came out, everyone still didn't react much. Everyone expected it. If you are injured, you can come to me. I can treat you. Suspecting that everyone was ignorant, Yao Weiwei explained. But in response to her, everyone still nodded lightly and said okay sparsely. In Yao Weiwei's eyes, no one in this community knows how to praise her, but in fact, everyone has already given her a lot of respect. For fear of embarrassing her, no one said directly that there was already Au in their community with the same superpower. Au is much more humble than her. Yao Weiwei was in extreme despair, while Chaoran asked Tiantian's sister to ask about this person. Tiantian is as usual, she can't say anything specific, she can only talk about her feelings. That's good. But she thought for a long time. That sister, it's like adding chocolate sauce to cream cheesecake, it's so sweet. Although it's good, I just can't eat it. Chaoran nodded, yes, that's what it feels like. Too much. Therefore, she is either white and black, or she is the pretentious virgin White Lotus. Father Shen also quickly told his story. A few months ago, he and Xiao Jin set out to pick up their relatives. The old couple of the Shen family live 10 kilometers away, while Xiao Jin's girlfriend lives even further away. People, they all picked up smoothly. But when I came back, I ran into trouble. It was late at night, the car broke down and we couldn't walk. There were a lot of zombies on the road, so they could only take the old woman and hide in a nearby supermarket for the time being. But they are not the only ones in the supermarket. Some people have been infected with the virus, and others accidentally put zombies in. It is indeed quite difficult for Father Shen to protect the old couple alone. He was injured quickly and was just holding on with a sense of will. By the time he finished cleaning up the zombies, he could barely stand. At that time, the rolling shutter door of the supermarket was cut open with power tools. A military vehicle parked in front of the supermarket, and a group of people got out of the vehicle to collect supplies from the supermarket. Seeing that they were wearing military uniforms and holding guns, they should be trustworthy. Dad Shen told them that he had cleaned up the zombies in the supermarket and gave them the newly acquired warehouse key. This move successfully allowed the team to rescue the three of them into a military truck. After getting in the car, Dad Shen fainted. And this car is not going into the city, but out of the city. They were taken to a camp. There they saw many people in military uniforms and uniforms. Only then did they learn that the authorities were already opening a base to accommodate refugees. However, the base's capacity is limited, and the base with tens of thousands of people is already full. Officials are still working hard to accumulate supplies and open larger shelters. After living there for half a month, Father Shen's illness not only failed to heal, but his injuries continued to worsen. Another month later, the provincial capital sent 2 doctors to treat supernatural powers, one of whom was Yao Weiwei. Father Shen waited in line for half a month to receive treatment from Yao Weiwei, whose special power could only be used twice a day. After a total of 5 treatments, Dad Shen's injury was finally 80% healed. After another month of recuperation, he finally became healthy. Because of her superpowers, Yao Weiwei has become the savior of many people. In the base, she has always regarded herself as being aloof and being held in the palm of everyone's hands. The base is very safe, so the old couple can feel completely safe placing it there. Dad Shen found the person in charge and expressed that he wanted to leave. The person in charge of the base has noticed Father Shen. After letting him do the task for a month and secretly observing his abilities, he gave him a task that can not only satisfy his wishes but also serve the base. Their base was built at the junction of the 3 surrounding cities. Although the base has been expanding, it is still inconvenient and not inclusive enough. So far, most of the people they have been able to accept are only residents from the suburbs of the 3 cities. Although they have the intention to penetrate into the 3 cities, they are not yet capable enough. Therefore, as the virus is not yet under control, it is too difficult to relocate the surviving residents of the 3 cities to avoid the zombie hordes. It is better to build shelters in the city. After hearing that the community in city where Dad Shen was going to return had preliminary security and some supplies had been stockpiled, it was likely that a large number of residents still survived. After research, the base felt that they supported Father Shen in going back to help those residents, and also regarded that community as a test area for their base. The official granary has been opened, so food is not a problem. The base feels that after several months, if there were originally more than 170 people in that community, there are now only a quarter at most, so the number of people is calculated based on about 40 people. So the 600 kilograms of grain they allocated can last for 3 months. By then, if this experimental area can be maintained, they will send out the second batch of grain. Hearing that there were casualties everywhere in the city, Yao Weiwei volunteered. She has always been full of humanitarianism, just like when she took the initiative to come to the base to save lives and heal the wounded. This time, she hopes to have a broader stage. On the way here, Dad Shen heard her say many times that she had had a dream since she was a child, to save all people from fire and water. So, Dad is back. Dad is very happy. Not only is everyone intact, but there are no injured people. Dad Shen patted Taoran on the shoulder. Xiaorong, you did a good job. Taoran also understood. This Yao Weiwei is really Dad Shen's savior. It's no wonder that Dad Shen talks down to her. No wonder Yao Weiwei is dressed as a nurse, she put herself in that position. No wonder she is such a holy mother. She has been protected at the base. She has never experienced suffering in the world and has never seen the evil in people's hearts. Xiaorong, this Yao Weiwei is indeed unpleasant, Dad Shen advised, but firstly, she is kind to Dad, and secondly, she represents the base and the upper management. Whether it is for ourselves or for everyone, it is best not to offend her. Ah! Thanks for the reward of reset Lai Huo of you baby, compare your feelings. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 782. Listening to Father Shen's words, Taoran's head started to buzz and hurt. Therefore, not only could they not offend the Great Holy Mother, they also had to offer her a good sacrifice. Taoran has seen a lot of annoying people, but it doesn't matter. The worst thing is that he will have as few interactions with her as possible in the future. However, isn't there another Tianhu? Why is Yao Weiwei said to represent the base? Then what is Tianhu's identity? Dad Shen, Yao Weiwei has a formal establishment. And because her powers have saved so many people, she still has an official title. Tianhu was sent to her by the base to help, but he is actually just her assistant, or bodyguard. Taoran nodded. That Tianhu looks more normal than Yao Weiwei. He kept silent on the road because of his superior-subordinate relationship, but he didn't say anything. He didn't stop Taoran from getting into their car. In fact, he probably didn't approve of Yao Weiwei's idiotic behavior. By the way, Dad Shen had a smile on his face. The authorities have extracted virus antibodies and started testing them. So in 2 to 4 years at most, mankind will be able to rise again, and we will definitely be able to defeat the virus and make our world better. Let's get back to the good times we had before. We must persevere. This is good news. So as long as nothing unexpected happens, the community will be able to survive until that time. Okay, I get it. Taoran went to find Yao Weiwei. She went and apologized solemnly. I'm sorry. I was a little short-tempered today and was rude on the road. I hope you can forgive me. What can I do? Even if you don't look at the monk's face, you have to look at the Buddha's face. Regardless of the kindness of saving your father, you should look at her virtue of saving people from suffering. Moreover, this is a leader. Taoran smiled, and for the sake of the overall situation, he just had to bow down. Yao Weiwei nodded, as long as you admit your mistakes and can correct them. I forgive you. You are not young anymore, so don't be so impatient in the future. For Uncle Shen's sake, you can call me Sister Wei from now on. In this way, now I have to put my luggage first, and I will give you a task first. Look at who is injured and ask them to line up and come to me later. After lunch I started to treat everyone. Then, like a proud peacock princess, she dragged her suitcase and left. Taoran's mouth opened wide again. She was speechless again. This Yao Weiwei really doesn't regard herself as an outsider. She really thought she was here to be the savior, but she might be disappointed. And, Taoran is really convinced. At the moment when she was talking to her father, Yao Weiwei was not idle either. She took the initiative to ask someone to go to the infirmary to find the person in charge. A confused Fang Fang was called over, and then she asked Fang Fang to find her a place to stay. Her request is, it doesn't matter if it's dirty, it doesn't matter if it's simple, but it must be close to the infirmary. I am a responsible person, and my patients must be under my nose. Also, all future patients must be after I review it. You can be my assistant. Her non-committal attitude was too strong. Fang Fang could only laugh, and then quickly took someone to clean up the suite upstairs in the infirmary for her. When they heard that Father Shen was back, the aunts in the kitchen temporarily added vegetables and cut ham. The children went to touch fresh eggs, and the grandfathers went to get a large barrel of rice wine. Only Yao Weiwei was silent after being brought to the dinner table. The temperature was high at noon, so about 200 people were eating in the shady corner of the garage entrance. The cool breeze blows, which is very refreshing. Dozens of rectangular tables were arranged in a long strip, and everyone sat together, making the place lively and lively. The staple food is rice-steamed buns, and there are actually two kinds. The meat dish turned out not to be ham sausage or square leg, but fried pork slices with fungus and cold-cut ham. It was surprising enough that there were vegetables, but they were not dried vegetables, but two kinds of fresh green vegetables, one boiled and one stir-fried. And delicious scrambled eggs. When a bowl of delicious chicken soup was brought to her, Yao Wei burst into tears. The food provided by the base management staff is not as good as that in this community. Everyone thought she was crying because she hadn't had a good meal in a long time. For this reason, Dad Shen even put a chicken drumstick in her bowl. But Yao Wei pushed the bowl out. In this world, how many people starve to death, and how many people can't even eat? But how can we live up to our own conscience when we are so luxurious? We ask ourselves, we can't share our share that is higher than the standard with the difficulties. Someone. She shook her head through tears. I can't eat this kind of food. Please give my share to those in need. Then, this great lady stood up and strode away without looking back, leaving a confused face, mouth wide open, and speechless to the crowd who just wanted to call them crazy. She's right. All food is hard-earned and cannot be wasted. Taoran poured her untouched rice directly back into the bucket and gave her soup to Grandpa Fang. Grandpa, please eat more. You have worked the most hard these days. Logically speaking, this chicken leg should be for you. In Taoran's heart, if Grandpa Fang hadn't discovered the truck yesterday, they would have gone a step earlier, and they would have argued so stupidly. Noisy, it's hard to say who will end up with the truck. I'm afraid neither Father Shen nor that Tian Hu will survive. Rather than saying that Yao Wei was Father Shen's lifesaver, she was more willing to admit that she was Grandpa Fang who first discovered the truck. As for the idiot, whether she likes to eat or not is up to her. Yao Wei is really up to date. She said she wouldn't eat if she didn't want to. She wasn't just showing off, but she really didn't even take a bite. After hearing this, Taoran's scalp felt even more numb. So, was this a true Holy Mother? At first, Yao Wei felt that she was out of tune with everyone in this community. She originally thought that she was new here and that everyone would not let her go. But she gradually discovered that this community was totally different from her. After eating, she went to the infirmary to wait. I waited and waited, but no one came to see the doctor. Haha, this is a joke. You must know that at the base, you have to queue up to make an appointment every day to wait for her treatment. She heard that everyone in this community was trapped in the city, and she came to rescue thinking of the wounded everywhere. Don't these people know how to cherish them? After waiting for half an hour, someone came to the infirmary, but he was here to treat a bruise. Fang rubbed some medicated oil on him and he strode away. Yao Wei was of no use at all. Everyone is quite healthy. Fang smiled. You just arrived, why not take a good rest first and get familiar with the environment? For 3 days in a row, Yao Wei had nothing to do. She went from an angel that everyone gathered around to praise her to a useless person who had nothing to do. Her mood became more and more depressed. Every meal here is rich, but she only eats a bowl of porridge or a steamed bun. Those people are so depraved. She didn't understand how they could eat meat. Everyone here is laughing and joking, with a smile on their face. But the world outside is so terrible and miserable, how can they laugh? People here don't want to make progress. They either fight and kill, or go out to find supplies. Do they know how big a gift God has given them to survive? Why don't they know how to change the world? Yao Wei felt that she was obviously here to save the world. But why is this world like this? The people here have problems with their outlook. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 783. On her third day in the community, Yao Wei expressed her desire to go out. After hearing this, Taoran refused and asked the guard not to let him go. This woman is too arrogant. If she dies outside, they will have to bear the responsibility. If she is captured alive, the community will be exposed. Yao Weiwei was not convinced and stopped in front of Chaoran's car when she was leaving. I have to go out. What are you going to do when Sister Wei goes out? Chaoran asked with a smile. If she wanted to return to the base, she would quickly let this god of plague go. The world is like this. I have such a special power. Am I still afraid that I will have nothing to do? I want to save the poor people. There is no place for her to use her skills here. There must be many suffering people in the city waiting for her to rescue them. Too dangerous. I'm not afraid of danger. But I'm afraid. I'm afraid you will bring zombies or people with ulterior motives back to our community. You're so selfish. Yao Weiwei shook her head with a sad look on her face. Why is this Shenrong's face as dark as his heart? Then I can drive our truck out without disturbing the people and cars in your neighborhood. Is that okay? You are not afraid of death, then have you asked Tianhu what he means? Is he willing to go on adventures with you? Chaoran looked at Tianhu next to Yao Weiwei. Although this Tianhu had a cold face and didn't talk much, on the first day he came, he joined everyone that night after attending the audience's training in the underground garage. The next day, he not only participated in everyone's actions, but also took the initiative to join the inspection team. In the evening, he even went to the ring to play a few games. He went on a mission yesterday and brought back 30 liters of gasoline with Yan Hui and others. Everyone spoke highly of him. Unlike the Holy Mother, he ate and drank with everyone. Yesterday he ate 2 large bowls of rice in one go. He also apologized to the ant who brought the rice and said that he had a large appetite and would work more in the future. So Chaoran saw him correctly. The only one with brain damage was Yao Weiwei. Tianhu finally spoke, I agree with Shenrong. I went out yesterday, and I probably know the situation in the city. There are too many zombies in the city. We almost had accidents several times when we went out yesterday with so many people. If it's even more dangerous if there are only 2 of us. And I'm not familiar with the roads here. Tianhu, Yao Weiwei's eyes turned red. You disappoint me so much. I won't tell you where your elbows are turned out, let alone where your conscience is. I just want to ask you, do you still remember your identity? The status of superior and subordinate. I remind you, don't forget that we are soldiers. You, the subordinate, must unconditionally obey me, the superior. Yao Weiwei moved out of the military rank. Naturally, Tianhu had no choice but to take a step back silently. Sister Wei, it's not good for you to do this, Chaoran, let's see, I'll show you something. If you insist on going out after reading it, I won't stop you. Chaoran made Yan Hui work hard. After Yan Hui asked Tianhu for the keys to the truck, he took 2 cars and went out. Here please. Chaoran took Yao Weiwei to the high-rise building where the observation deck of the community was located. Are you kidding me? Yao Weiwei suddenly became unhappy when she saw that he had climbed to the 12th floor. Grandpa Fang can climb, why can't you? How can you save the common people if you can't even climb a building? Chaoran pointed at Tianhu, you have to go out to save people. The lives of outsiders are the lives of Tianhu who has been protecting you, isn't it life? If you are truly benevolent and righteous, what if you climb the 12th floor for Tianhu? Yao Weiwei had nothing to say and had no choice but to get up. Chaoran and Tianhu were both very fast, and they were waiting for her all the way. Chaoran shook his head secretly. Yao Weiwei's physical fitness was comparable to that of Bimoli. Tisk. Thinking about it this way, it's absolutely amazing. In this world, I have all the white lotus and green tea. But Chaoran couldn't help but curl his lips. You can only use your powers twice a day. Yao Weiwei was out of breath while climbing the stairs and didn't want to talk to Chaoran, so Tianhu said yes on her behalf. Is it because your body is too weak that you can only use it twice? Physical fitness can be strengthened. As long as you are willing to put in the effort, you will always make progress. At this time, Yao Weiwei, who was panting heavily, finally couldn't bear it anymore. At this moment, her voice rose to the highest pitch since we met. What do you mean you can only do it? It's not easy twice, okay. Every treatment takes a lot of energy. I break out in cold sweats after every treatment a quarter of an hour. What do you know? Don't get excited. I don't mean to question you. I just think that since you have the world in mind and your physical fitness is not that good, why don't you spend more time improving your own physical fitness, so that you can treat more people? Then that's the way to better serve everyone, right? But your thunder is loud but the raindrops are small, but it seems that you are not sincere enough. If you question it in depth, you would think that you deliberately do not improve yourself and only do 2 treatments a day, just for the sake of fame. Yao Weiwei was about to explode, and Tao Ran quickly emphasized again, that's not what I meant. I'm just reminding you that some people will question it like this. What do you think? Does it make sense? Tao Ran looked at Tianhu again. Tianhu glanced at Yao Weiwei. Hey, this was the first time he thought about this question. It seemed reasonable to be mentioned like this by Shen Rong. At the base, Yao Weiwei was very weak after 2 treatments each time. Everyone gathered around her to greet her, and she enjoyed that feeling very much. But then, another person with the same powers as her began to be able to heal 3 times a day. It seemed that it was then that she proposed to go out on a mission. Could it be that she really only cares about profit in the name of her skillful hands and benevolence? Although this is human nature, Tianhu always felt that her image was a little cracked. Tao Ran indeed had a reasonable suspicion, but this suspicion really led Tianhu astray. Yao Weiwei cried again. Hum, 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 all emphasizing her sadness. How can you say that about me? My physique has been like this since I was a child. What can I do? There is a way, Tao Ran smiled. My greatest specialty is helping people regulate their physiques. Tianhu knows this, right? Tianhu nodded repeatedly this time. Yes. I have understood that the reason why there are no casualties in the entire community is all due to Shen Rong. She led everyone to strengthen their physical fitness and taught many exercises to everyone. So in just half a year, everyone's physical fitness has been greatly improved. It's amazing. Sister Wei, do you know? Ge Iryi used to have bad joints and it was difficult to walk, but now he can walk quickly. Brother Lu San was originally a fat man of 250 pounds, but he lost 90 pounds in half a year. Xiao Yu, a girl who has been sick due to congenital deficiencies, is now a member of the supplies team. They all have physiques that Shen Rong has prepared for them. And I wish my eldest sister, after giving birth. Enough. Yao Weiwei is about to collapse. Tianhu came with him in the car, and he didn't say so many words during the whole 2-day journey. What about being silent? How? Now that he is eloquent and beaming, he also wants to join Shen Rong, right? They are them, and I am me. You have no right to care about me. Sister Wei, Tao Ran grabbed Yao Weiwei, who was about to go downstairs, and pulled her away without saying a word. I'll carry you up, she laughed. Thank you Xiaoao for the tip, show your appreciation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 784. Yao Weiwei has never seen Tao Ran's skills firsthand. How did she know that this girl she didn't like could be so strong? Before she could react, she was lifted up and dragged. Her hind leg hit the stairs hard, and she knew without looking that the skin must have been broken. Shen Rong, let me go. Tao Ran would not pay attention to her. With a strong hand and a flick of his backhand, Yao Weiwei drew an arc in mid-air. The next second, she was already on Taoran's back like a dead pig. You can't even climb up to the 12th floor. I'll carry you up. You should thank me. Taoran motioned for Tianhu to go ahead. Don't move. I'll take you upstairs to see something. Yao Weiwei was very angry. Her dissatisfaction was not only about being treated roughly, but also because she couldn't bear the fact that her great self was treated in such a humiliating manner. How could there be someone as arrogant and unreasonable as Shenrong in this world? Yao Weiwei began to struggle. So the next second, Yao Weiwei's whole body hit the stair railing hard. My chest hit the handrail, my waist hit the corner, and my legs hit the iron railing. With the bang, Yao Weiwei's whole face turned pale and she broke into a cold sweat. I told you to stop moving. You didn't listen. Taoran picked her up again. Taoran wanted to beat her up for a long time. Unfortunately, because of her identity, Tianhu's existence, and because she was Father Shen's savior, Taoran endured it. Now a rare opportunity is coming to your door, haha, naturally you can't miss it. In fact, Yao Weiwei's struggle was like a mosquito bite to Taoran. Once her arms were locked behind her back, Yao Weiwei couldn't move, so it was naturally impossible for her to slip out. So it was Taoran who threw her out just now. And it brings inner strength. This time, Yao Weiwei became mute, and even her screams were stuck in her throat. Yao Weiwei's whole body was numb. No, to be precise, her internal organs trembled so much at that moment that she almost thought they were all shattered. A second later, she felt the overwhelming pain that hit her whole body. Her whole body was wet and she was still trembling slightly. At this moment, she felt scared. Shenrong looked back, her eyes were dark and bottomless, like a cold pool, which made her fear from the bottom of her heart. The curses that were already packed in her throat were all stuck in her throat at that moment, leaving only 2 lines of tears that were still falling unconsciously. This Shenrong is so terrifying. Isn't her superpower too strong? Fang Fang also said that she has no powers, liar. Yes, how could I have been deceived? How could she become the actual leader of this community if she didn't have superpowers? How could everyone from an 80-year-old man to a 3-year-old child listen to her? Yes, who can survive in troubled times with more than 100 people? What kind of good person can he be? I don't know how many immoral things I have done, how many people I have killed, and how much blood I have stained on my hands. If I had known earlier, I shouldn't have come. Yao Weiwei was speechless, her body became limp, and she was at the mercy of Shenrong. What she hated even more was that Tianhu in front only turned his head when he heard the noise. Seeing that she was not making any noise, he walked ahead again and continued upstairs. Yao Weiwei was angry and full of suppressed complaints and curses. Taoran felt the resentment on her body and chuckled. Still not convinced? Then I'll beat you until you're convinced. So while dragging her up, Taoran made 2 more random moves. Yao Weiwei slid down from vertical to horizontal, and Taoran copied several times with her backhand. Poor Weiwei, who thought she was going to be the heroine, was turned into a miserable little cabbage. She accidentally knocked down the stairs several times. But Yao Weiwei, whose internal organs were twisted, with bursts of pain all over her body, and with internal injuries, glanced over. Damn it, this is only the 8th floor? There are 4 floors left. Then, she faced Shenrong's half-smiling face again. I understand, that is a provocation and a warning. Yao Weiwei was so frightened that she slowly looked away and closed her eyes. This Shenrong walked so slowly, on purpose. Absolutely intentional. She just wants to torture herself. How come there are such bad people in this world? If he was toyed with by the shrew for another 4 floors, would he be a dead body on the top of the building? But Tianhu was walking so fast that he could hear his footsteps at least past the 9th floor. Is he rushing to reincarnate? Can't he see Shenrong's evil deeds? He ran so fast, there was no way I could ask him for help. Helpless, Yao Weiwei, who was so dizzy from the pain, quickly put all her thoughts aside, closed her eyes and began to heal her wounds. The superpower started to work, and Yao Weiwei, who was afraid of death, used the treatment method on herself for the first time. Tao Ran was sour again. Being close to Yao Weiwei, she could sense the healing power similar to spiritual power. Just like taking a bath in a hot spring full of warmth and vitality, Tao Ran felt that his sore and swollen back muscles from practicing Qigong had relaxed a lot. Tao Ran slowly climbed up to the top floor, giving Yao Weiwei enough time for treatment. So tired, Tao Ran said as he stepped onto the platform. As soon as she let go of her hand, Yao Weiwei fell to the ground, causing Grandpa Fang and a group of teenagers who were looking into the distance to look back collectively. When the teenagers saw Yao Weiwei's embarrassment, they inevitably laughed out loud. There are people who can't climb stairs. This woman, I see her wandering around every day. What can she do? I heard that she got into trouble on the first day she came here and almost killed Father Shen. It's useless to ask Sister Shenrong to carry her upstairs today. Such a person doesn't ask her to do anything, just ask her for something. Don't do anything, just don't cause trouble to others. The outspoken young people are simple-minded and do not care about face and status. Yao Weiwei, who was extremely embarrassed and blushing, burst into tears. These unruly people are all rude and vicious at a young age. If I had known earlier, I would not have come to rescue them or deliver supplies. They should have been abandoned by the base and sooner or later they would have turned into zombies one by one. Yao Weiwei pointed at Tianhu, you still haven't come over yet. Tianhu was a little confused and took 2 steps forward. I order you, capture Shenrong for me and teach him a lesson. Why? This question was asked not only by Tianhu, but also by everyone present, including Tao Ran. Tao Ran was innocent. What did I do wrong? I carried you up, but you. Yao Weiwei, you know what you did. I don't know. Tao Ran looked at Tianhu with a depressed look. Tianhu was embarrassed. Sister Wei, we are all one family. Who and her family? Yao Weiwei shouted. Didn't you say that? Tianhu kindly helped me recall it. You said it on the first day you came here. From now on, we will all be a family and we must help each other. Shut up. You white-eyed wolf, Yao Weiwei almost choked to death with a mouthful of old blood in her throat. Tianhu's expression also changed slightly. He just helps with marriage but not marriage, so why is he so cold-eyed? The mission assigned to him by the base is to help her provide assistance and protect her safety, not to be her thug. Okay, she asked herself to get someone out of nowhere. Is she sick? The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 785. Yao Weiwei was deeply stimulated by Tianhu's unclear and disapproving expression. She finally couldn't help but roared. Shenrong, just hit me while you were walking in front. She hit me until my insides were about to burst. Everyone looked at her like she was a fool. Her voice is loud and confident. Does this mean her internal organs are broken? You must be conscientious. Tao Ran squatted down. You are an angel in white, a great sage who saves people in distress, and you are an official who represents the base. You can't talk nonsense like this. Since I call you Sister Wei, I treat you as a family member. Since we are family members, we can't say anything politely. Tell me, why do you want to throw dirty water at me like this? Tao Ran had listened to Yao Weiwei's critical lectures a lot in the past few days, and now, she seized the opportunity to pay them back in full. You can't hold a grudge against me just because I said something about your poor health. If it's because I betrayed you and made you feel embarrassed, I can apologize to you. Tao Ran looked aggrieved and pitiful. I'm sorry. It's my fault. Please don't bear grudges against me. Let's get along well in the future. Pack. Play. Pretend. It doesn't matter whether it's White Lotus or green tea, she can learn it. Why not just see whose acting skills are better? When Chao Ran lowered his head, Yao Weiwei was stunned, but everyone from Tianhu to the rooftop was unhappy. The teenagers were angry, and one by one they couldn't help but speak to the aggressive Yao Weiwei. The people who dare to slander our sister Rong haven't even been born yet. Sister Rong is kind-hearted and upright. You are still her father's savior. Why did she hit you? That's right. Even if I take 100 steps back, if I, Sister Rong, really want to beat you, will I let you know? I, Sister Rong, want to kill you, and I will keep it so that you can't even become a ghost. I see, you're not holding a grudge, but you're jealous. My sister Rong is better than you in everything, aren't you, the Holy Mother, unhappy? No matter what your status is in the base, you are not allowed to bully our sister Rong. Chao Ran went up to grab the indignant teenagers and told them to stop talking. You guys continue to look around and help me see where Yan Hui's car is. We will resolve the matter between Sister Wei and me ourselves. What the hell, Sister Wei, someone muttered. It's really unlucky for you to deal with such a sister. We just can't bear to see you feel wronged. I know Chao Ran tried to persuade her. And watching Chao Ran's entire performance, Yao Weiwei felt that she was going to die of a heart attack. You are pretentious and talking nonsense, Shen Rong, are you worthy of the conscience of heaven and earth? Chao Ran sighed, Sister Wei, get up, accept it as soon as it's done, don't let everyone see the joke. Since we are a family, all the mistakes are my fault, let's just let this matter go by, okay? Yao Weiwei screamed and slapped Chao Ran's hand away. Crazy. She's going crazy. You hurt someone and still pretend to be a good person? Let this go. Why? It is you who get beaten, you who are injured, and you who should be wronged, but no one believes in you or helps you. What kind of world is this? Who are these people? She pointed at Tianhu. You don't believe me either. Chao Ran was the first to interrupt. To testify against others, you must first produce evidence. If I beat you, who saw it? Where are the witnesses and physical evidence? Where are the wounds? Injury. Yes, she was injured. Yao Weiwei lifted up the nurse uniform on her upper body. She was stupid. Only then did she realize that she had been so seriously injured just now, but there were no wounds left. She lifted up her skirt a little more, and then found that her legs were not injured either. What the hell? What kind of special ability does this Shen Rong have? Could it be that he only suffered internal injuries? Yao Weiwei searched all over her body and found only a scratched wound on her leg that was still a little red. It stands to reason that although I have used my supernatural power to perform a treatment, it cannot be cured in one breath without leaving any traces. So the problem is with Shen Rong. For the first time, she experienced the feeling of being unable to argue. I suffered internal injuries. I was injured internally by her. Chao Ran shook his head. Well, unfortunately, we are not a hospital here. We don't have the equipment to scan your internal organs and draw conclusions. Therefore, she still had no evidence of being beaten. The accusation is not true. In everyone's eyes, she, Yao Weiwei, is lying. Tianhu also felt that he was embarrassed and blushed. He suppressed his impatience and knelt down to persuade, Sister Wei, stop doing it. Apologize to Shen Rong quickly. Zo. Why do you say I did it? What I said is true, she grabbed Tianhu. She hits me, help me catch her. I'm sorry, but I obey. Are you disobeying me? Whatever you say, Tianhu was already irritable. He stood up immediately. Do you know the consequences of disobedience? If I convey this message. Don't worry, Chao Ran nodded to Tianhu. If necessary, I will personally explain to the base. Our people will prove that you are not disobeying orders, but that Yao Wei is making trouble unreasonably. Thank you, Tianhu hugged his fists and stopped looking at his superior. Actually, there was something he was embarrassed to say. Catch Shenrong? Grab the fart. The night before yesterday, he had gone to the ring to challenge Shenrong, and the result was an ugly loss. Yesterday, he had been thinking about the method of fighting for a long time. When he went to continue the challenge in the evening, he still lost. He was no match for Shenrong, so he was going to beat her up. He doesn't want to be thrown out of the community yet. As for the base, they won't be contacted until 3 months at the earliest, so we'll talk about it then. Yao Wei completely collapsed. She wants to save the world, but how could the evil in this world be so great? After Tianhu thought about it, he came back and said to the crying Yao Wei, since we are in other people's territory, we should try not to cause trouble. Your task is to treat more patients, and nothing else is important. Qian, don't do it, don't harm him. Yao Wei cried even harder. Listen, is this human talk? In the end, it was all her fault. But what did she do wrong? She's the only victim, okay. Shut up, Tianhu suddenly turned around and shouted, then dragged Yao Wei to the stool and gave her the telescope in his hand. On a road a block away, Yan Huigong parked his truck on the road, honked the horn wildly, turned on the stereo, and then left in another car. In less than 10 minutes, several cars appeared at the intersection and surrounded the truck. Immediately afterwards, there was a burst of gunfire, and multiple bullets were fired from several cars, all aimed at the person sitting in the driver's seat of the truck. The cab glass was shattered, and after a group of people rushed up, they discovered that the people lying on the driver's seat were just 2 zombies wearing hats. Did you see it? Taoran said coldly. Didn't you keep saying that I was maliciously speculating on others? Now you know what the consequences would be if I let you out just now, right? People in the city have been coveting your supplies in the past 2 days, and they are all looking for your truck. As long as the truck shows up, it's a dead end. It doesn't matter if you want to die, but you will still kill Tianhu. I'm not being alarmist, am I? So. Taoran knelt down in front of her again, so looking at it now, I have saved your life. In this way, I have repaid you for saving my dad's life. The debt of gratitude between you and my dad is huge. It's even. Huh. Thank you, Brother Long, for the reward. Show your heart.